Hello, my soul-seeking friends. It's Shanna. Thank you so much for listening to Sense of Soul podcast. Enlightening conversations with like-minded souls from around the world, sharing their journey of finding their light within, turning pain into purpose, and awakening to their true sense of soul. If you like what you hear, show me some love and rate, like, and subscribe. And consider becoming a Sense of Soul Patreon member, where you will get ad-free episodes, monthly circles, and much more. Now go grab your coffee, open your mind, heart, and soul. It's time to awaken. Today on Sense of Soul, we have Huenu Solsona. She is an entrepreneur and the co-founder of Orykl. Orykl's mission is to raise the Earth's collective consciousness, a community that is built on honesty, benevolence, community, and spirit. Orykl offers a directory of vetted spiritual practitioners, a trusted place for clients seeking healing and guidance. And she's with us today to tell us how you can connect with your perfect practitioner. So please welcome Huenu. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Such a loaded question nowadays. How are, you know? Yeah, so Orykl, I love that vetting your practitioners is an important part. And because I believe that I have run into more people than I'd ever hope, where people are telling them some real BS.
It is so important, especially in this industry, that you don't need to go to university for 4 years or get your master's or PhD, almost anybody in most of the modalities that we work with could say that they are, a healer. Because a lot of these people sort of naturally have these gifts. And of course, they work on themselves, so they study further, they educate themselves, so they practice daily. But still, at the end of the day, anybody could say that they do this and have a beautiful website and charge people for it. So for us, our main purpose is to really help people and to make a difference, to really increase or raise the human consciousness. And that is our purpose. And money, of course, this is a business, will come, but that's very much secondary to me. And so for me, it's super important that everybody that's on Orykl is the real deal, that they can actually deliver on what they say that they're going to do. And for that, you just need to have a vetting process, a good vetting process. Really hoping that people can feel a little bit more relaxed about booking a session with somebody who they can just feel like, okay, cool, I can trust this. I can trust this person. I know that they are from Orykl. And of course, everybody does get rated when they have a session through Orykl. We've just taken that down on the website, but when we reopen the sessions and you can have a session on Orykl, of course, everybody gets rated too. And if anybody falls below a certain level, they're out of the platform as well. So we don't just vet them at the beginning, but it's a continuous thing. To ensure quality.
That's so good. I feel like actually I've had this experience, and I've actually talked to some psychics who have said there were times in their own journeys where they weren't receiving, right? Like things were going on in their lives and it kind of shut down and they couldn't turn it on like they usually did. And you have to be honest about that and take a break. I've heard them take a break, and then return back into it. We are human too.
Because, doing this kind of work, it's so important that the person that's doing the service is very aligned themselves. It's you need to be connected to the divine part of you. And that connection is strong when your life is going okay, when you don't have so many layers in front of you that are blocking you or that are keeping your mind very occupied with a problem and you're anxious about this and that. When your mind takes over and your emotions take over, they don't allow that, or they just kind of shadow that connection that you've got with source. And so it's very common, like you say, when somebody's going through a hardship in their life, and things happen to everybody,
Mhm.
for all kinds of reasons. So that's very honorable. And I think it's wonderful of a practitioner to say, look, I'm going through a lot right now, and I don't feel like I'm being a clear channel here, and I'm not being the best practitioner that I can, so I need to take a break. And so that is why it's also so important for these practitioners to have a daily practice to work on themselves, right? It's really important.
I agree. Yeah, there was a time when my dad passed. I mean, I had to take a month off because I was in so much grief,
Exactly.
that it was unhealthy for me even to
Mhm.
work with someone else. I mean,
Yeah.
I was not even honoring my own grief by putting it aside, and I wasn't really focused as I should have been for those clients. So that's when I said, I no, I can't. I have to take some time.
Yeah. Well, that's great that you did that and you were honest with people and yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah. So you're not a channel.
Kind of am, but I don't say that I am at all. But
Okay.
through working with so many channelers, I mean, there's techniques, right? And
Yeah.
so I do practice it, but I wouldn't do it for somebody else. I just kind of do it for myself. And I don't say I am.
I would never claim myself to be a channeler or a medium. I don't like know how to turn it on and off. Well, maybe I could, but I've never even really tried to sit across from someone and say, let me connect, with your
Right.
loved one or anything like that. But in my own way, and I've had, many psychics say, but you are psychic, you do connect. But usually it's just for me or for the
Yeah.
collective, never somebody individually.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Well, look, this idea actually came to me in meditation, and it was an absolute download. I remember it as if it was yesterday. It was actually a long time ago. I was thinking about selling my business. Well, I knew I was going to sell my business that I had, and I'd really put out the intention that my next business had to be to help on a global scale. I really wanted to have a big impact. And I wanted to help, the world, animals, and love animals. Just I'd been doing a lot of work on the spiritual, oh gosh, and on every discipline, but I'd been listening to a lot of channeled material. Obviously, I was meditating, yoga, all kinds of things. And I just felt like it probably would be around that area somehow. But I was just sitting in meditation, and the idea to do this online platform, and it was for vetted channelers. Now we've expanded to other modalities as well. This just came to me, and I remember even the name Orykl came to me, the like O that you
Oh,
see on the homepage, that picture. And so I just started writing it down, and that was a form of channeling, right? Yeah, this whole idea. So yeah, that's kind of like the divine intervention, you can call it, I guess.
I love that. I'm that type of person. It seems like you are too. Like if I can't find something that I like, I'll make it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a go-getter. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a business owner. And I'm like, you know what they say? If you want something done, give it to a busy person. Like that's me. I'll get it
That's
done.
so funny. Me too. I'm definitely that person. And I feel like my brain's always like on this hamster wheel of ideas too.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, you're gonna have to be next. There's like all these things always coming in that needs to be done. But yeah, I am like that, even like from if I have this vision of like a dress or something and I can't find it, I'll make it.
Mhm.
Curtains, anything. I see it if and then I look for it. I look
Yeah,
for it. So if this is what I want, right? And you wanted
yeah.
a safe
Mhm.
place to go, and
Yeah.
most of us do. And I think it's
Yeah.
really beautiful that you followed this call. How were you receiving? I mean, a lot of the things that how I receive is through dreams or through synchronicity that leads me. Or like how you said you saw the word oracle. I mean, I saw a sense of soul, and then it was like my co-host at the
Mhm.
time saw it like on a truck, and then it
Oh,
was like
wow.
on the shampoo bottle. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
There was this validation of synchronicity
Yeah.
that we followed.
Yeah, well, look, for me, I do a lot of meditation at night and I'll open the laptop because I type pretty fast, my eyes closed. And I just sit there, and after a while, I might get the urge. It is channeling, I might get the urge, and I really wait for it to be pretty strong, because I go, no, that could possibly be me, no, until I get like, no, type this. And I try not to think at all. Like sometimes if I start thinking, I go, well, this doesn't make sense. And I go, no, just forget about it. Just don't even worry about if it makes sense or not, because I'm so not thinking back or forth. I'm so present, I would say, that I don't even know what I'm going to write next. And I just go, well, it's just for me, so who cares? Just write. And then when I read it afterwards, I promise you, it makes perfect sense. No, nothing. I mean, there's no word to change, which is amazing.
Wow.
So I do that quite a lot. And sometimes I can do it with, like, if I have an issue or problem, I kind of ask and I say, okay, I'm having this issue. How, just help me. And I'm just going to meditate and let something come. And if nothing comes, nothing comes. Usually if I ask it, it comes though. And I see the number 33 a ton of times a day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty crazy. And I see it, funny enough, it's not always like this, but almost always when I'm very aligned myself, when I just feel on the flow, when I just, or I've had a good phone call or something. Today I must have seen it like at least twice that I can remember. And I don't have my phone on me, like it's always upside down. So I literally pick up the phone like maybe once an hour, and it's like 33. So for me, that's beautiful. 33 means you're divinely guided. I don't follow too much numerology, but I just know that because I've seen it so many times. So that's very nice for me. It's like, okay, cool. Thank you. You're there.
How did you grow up? Did you have a religious background?
So I grew up in Argentina, in a small town in Patagonia, and we didn't grow up very religious, even though in general, people in Argentina are religious, less and less so with the passing years. But my grandmother was super religious on my dad's side, so much so that my dad absolutely rebelled against this because she was like really crazy.
Okay.
And he became a scientist, and he became so against religion, like proper. Like if I cannot see it. So now it's very interesting because he only saw religion, and then he became a scientist, and he really doesn't like religion. Not that he's like whatever, but he just thinks it's all BS on the religion side. But now that I'm very spiritual, my dad can't understand the difference sometimes. I've explained this multiple times. So there's some part of him that thinks this is kind of religious, like, and more like organized religion, which, he doesn't like. But we've had very interesting conversations, and I love having my dad because I'm also somebody that's kind of scientifically minded. Like, it's not to say that I need to see proof of everything, but I need to feel things that they need to feel true to me, and I need to be able to explain them and understand them. I'm not going to believe something just because somebody tells me to believe it. And so I've taken, I think, my dad's like scientific brain, I suppose, and put it towards this very spiritual industry that can't always be explained very easily, right? But we have amazing discussions, and I'm happy to say that my dad's been pretty open of late to the supernatural. And my dad and my mom, because my brother passed away in 2009, so he was 37, I was 32. So for me, that was the start of my real spiritual path, right? Because when he died, we were like super close. I was immediately, I wanted to find out where he was, if I could talk to him, what happens when you die. And I started reading a lot of books about life after death, which I actually found so fascinating. I mean, obviously they gave me a lot of peace, and I could understand this. And I was like, oh, wow, is this how it is? And I just kept reading and reading. And then I got into meditation and yoga and all kinds of things, channeling. And I loved it. To me, of course, it helped me a ton with my brother, but also it just got interesting. And I just found that more interesting than like the day-to-day stuff. And so I was always since 2009, very much with one foot on the spiritual side and other foot on earth, because sometimes it can get too much and you're like, whew, just like, you know, you can also talk about the weather every now and again, and about what happened. I was in like deep 24/7. But yeah, so that's my parents were always very, allowing of me to explore. And, I'm an entrepreneur, as I said, so I've done many different businesses, and they trust me. And so when I told them about this, my mom was on board. My dad was like, this is crazy, but it's funny because I trust you. So like, yeah.
That's so sweet. That's nice and supportive. I love that science and spirituality seem to have like this marriage. Actually,
Yeah.
one time I had on Eben Alexander, and he actually said that he wrote the book Proof of Heaven, and he said that they are, and he is a neuroscientist who, probably much like your dad, had just the scientific brain, who had his own near-death experience, and experienced that world. And I think that that's what it's about. You said, I'm done with believing, what everyone has told me to believe. I'm going to experience it. And that's what started my journey. And, grief often starts a lot of people's spiritual journey as well.
A lot. Grief of the loss of somebody, or just your own deep suffering and depression,
Yeah.
sometimes illnesses,
Trauma.
accidents, just your life. There's so many, like the people that I work with, I would say that 80% of them have had something, or 75 had something really bad, happen in their life that was the catalyst for this. And the other 20-30% would be like these naturals, like they've always been open. And in fact, they've tried to shut it down, and eventually just like it couldn't anymore.
As a child, I look back and see, I think most children are kind of coming to this world, very raw. The less ego you have, the more connected you are, and you're more present. And so you're able to kind of live in this world of imagination, which I thought was silly imagination, literally, but how much of it could have really been truly just you're in another dimension.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So one of my best friends' daughter, now she's not religious at all, my friends, okay? But her daughter sees fairies and speaks to fairies every day. And my friend, I said to her, go and speak to a channeler and see what he says. And he was like super helpful to my friend. She's having an experience, this girl. And a
Yeah.
lot of kids, because they've just come from spirit. And also we're getting a lot of star seeds here on Earth, people that have had lives in many other places, and they're very connected. And so they're able to, like you say, experience and see and feel different dimensions. There's just so much more than our senses can pick up, right? So
Right.
yeah.
I agree. It's amazing. Dolores Cannon often comes up, in her book, The Three Waves of the Star Seeds, but no one's quite wrote a new one of that. You know what I mean? Well, actually, Carrie Hummingbird did write the second wave, but I'm just saying there is a huge difference. I have kids from different generations, so I look at them and I'm like, whoa, these younger generations, especially Gen Alpha, they are coming into the world talking to fairies, and they're not shut down as quickly, right? Your friend
Yeah,
has you to
exactly.
keep her open and to,
Yeah, exactly. To
nurture
encourage
that
them.
gift. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Daryl Anka came on a few months ago, and he had told me that's because they're not the same as us. They're not even the same species, he says, as us.
Yeah, and that's why there's so many people on Earth as well. Right now, we're going through this massive awakening, and it's very exciting here on Earth. We're getting a lot of souls from all over to help us and to be here for that experience. I've got two young kids, so nothing weird's happening yet, but it's probably because I watch them like,
Yep, buckle up.
Yeah.
They're pretty amazing. I feel like this is such a interesting time to be alive. I say interesting because I didn't know if I should say wonderful or not wonderful, because it's like
Right.
there is this polarity, even in the energy day to day. There's so much good and so much bad, and it's hard to sometimes even feel so happy about something when you know people are suffering around the world, and you just have to be very vigilant right now. And I feel aware, and I'm very affected by the solar storms. So it's been something I've been trying to really align with and not see it as I'm trying not, my mind wants to see it as negative. My body also, though, is
Mm.
affected because I could totally mistake this for anxiety.
So it's super interesting. I had an ex-boyfriend just reminded me of him that he went a little crazy when there was a full moon. Like he was just
Mm,
all over the show.
me
So
too.
I have never had that. So I can't relate in that sense, and I think that I now I'm a lot more in tune with my body, but throughout my life I've just been like I exercise a lot and I didn't notice the subtleties. People would say, "Oh, I tried this and I felt that," and I was like, "Hmm." So I can't relate in that sense, but I think we're all becoming, especially the empaths, maybe like yourself, all becoming so sensitive, right?
Mhm.
We can pick up energies easier. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just just tells you that you are picking up and it's you're actually
Hmm.
feeling it in your body, right?
Very
So
much.
what to do, I don't know. I think talking about is always great
Yeah.
and leaning on people because even if we understand what's going on and even if we are awake, whatever you want to call it, there's always something to learn and there's
Always.
always and even just share, talking about it always helps, whether it's spiritual
Hmm.
stuff or like normal stuff.
Yeah. It's my favorite thing in the world now to be curious and be a student, and learn something new
Yeah,
that I've never seen before, that's been hidden in plain sight, basically.
right,
But
right.
like your ex-boyfriend, the word lunatic, comes from Luna,
Yeah.
into the full
No, I
moon.
never thought of that.
Yeah,
Oh,
because it is
interesting.
it is
Yeah.
a true statement. So, and
Yeah.
I feel really energetic and revived on a full moon. Some people feel that on the new moon. So it's so interesting how sometimes even we feel differently about it. But yeah, be curious. And that was huge for me because then at least I was aware and I understood what this
Mm.
energy was. Then I couldn't
Yes.
blame it on anxiety or something else because it very much feels like that energy is so right now, right this moment. I wouldn't doubt if there's an actual solar storm right now that is hitting Earth that I'm experiencing. And over the years, being so familiar now with it. And it's so funny when people started to see the northern lights in the south, which is not right, became headline news where I had been already concerned about it for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's so many things that I feel like are affecting us that we're even unaware of. And,
A
and
lot.
and actually one of the things I noticed, the reason why brought that whole thing up is all the clocks in my house are 2 minutes off today.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just very interesting. This morning is a weird morning for me.
That is, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you feel that way? Like, do you ground yourself
Oh, I have
or
to.
yeah.
I have to. I didn't have time to really this morning. I did go outside with my
Yeah.
dogs, but quick. And that's why I looked
Yeah.
at the clock when I came back in. But it's something that I'm gonna have to do. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to go put
Yeah.
my feet in the grass
Yeah,
and
on the ground.
really,
Yeah.
bring myself back because I feel so much energy inside of me right now. I mean,
Mm.
I like to use it for the good too. So that's another
Mm.
thing. I mean, I've learned through a lot of my study that I think that a lot of the practices today have been known, by the ancients in many cultures and have somehow been taken by secret societies or powers of be, however you see it, and have used these practices for
Mm.
manifesting or healing even.
Mm. Yeah. I think that I sometimes struggle with explaining that because when you understand how the world works or who you are and how
Mhm.
you can create the life that you want, it usually that comes from a very loving space and from
Mm,
a place of wanting to like be the change you want to see in the world. And
yeah.
so it should have a positive rippling effect. And so when people say that there's something that people knew that others didn't, but they did it in order to take advantage of these other people, then it's not the same knowledge we're talking about. Because what we share, certainly what I believe and what I share is, sure, working on yourself first, and that could be described as, kind of new knowledge, something that's not out there, but we can, by changing ourselves, we can change everything around us, right? But that should be like something really good for the rest as well. It shouldn't put other people down, right? Or hurt them some way. So I think there's been many secrets, good and bad, and there's been some bad ones that I don't know if they've benefited the ones keeping the secret either, because when you like hurt others, you really hurt yourself ultimately. So yeah, I don't know how to marry that very well.
Well, what I find is just that a lot of the things that are coming to the surface now are not new. And I love how people will say they're new age. It's like, this is not new. This was taught in Hermetics or, in even further back even than that. And it just blows me away how many of the things that we're receiving today, and many psychics are receiving, and many mediums and even healers. So when you open yourself up, there's like this wisdom, this information, and it's like everywhere. And if someone can grab it, it's not new. It's definitely not new. It's always been.
Sure. Very true. Interesting to talk about the concept of no time. Difficult for us to understand with our very linear, 3D mind. Yeah. But you could say also, well, there is no time. It's always been there. The knowledge is there.
Yeah.
It's just whether you tap into it or not, but it just can't come and go. It's not on a conveyor belt, that you missed it. It's always been there.
Right.
And always will be there.
It's so true. And sometimes it marvels me because I'm like, I'll have a whole experience of it, because a lot of what I, receive is through experience. And then I'll read it and they wrote my experience. I think that experience and learning how to trust your body and discernment has been my number one thing, because no one ever told me to trust my body. That was something that I had to learn on my own.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the body is just so important. Funny enough, a channeler, I actually had a chat with him the other day, and he was just talking about, he was saying, body first, because your body is telling you so many things. You should sleep more. You should eat the right foods. It's telling you constantly, right? You should rest. And when we actually listen to the body and we sleep more and we rest and we eat better, we obviously feel a lot better and we can connect with our souls a lot better, and our whole day just goes a lot better. And so body first. I mean, we're having this physical experience, right? The physical experience is like the end. It's like, the end of everything that comes behind. And so if at the end your body's telling you something and you do it, you'll go back to that connection. I'm more and more take like listening to my body. For example, now I work out of a gym, and so there's a co-working space there as well. So I work there, I eat there because they have the most healthy restaurant you've ever seen. And it's like they have a sauna and the whole shebang there. It's pretty cool. But I don't, before I used to see that as, oh my gosh, okay, I'm doing something for myself and I'm kind of wasting time. I should be working, but I'm going to go for a run. And I felt like I wasn't marrying the two. I was like, work, I should do all these things. And this was just me time that I shouldn't be having. But now I realize that honestly, because I'm seeing it, wow, the more I take care of myself, the better the quality of my work, the more I flow, just everything's kind of easier, right? And so it's like, well, I mean, it just makes business sense to take care of myself.
Yeah.
Quite funny, but it is that, in the bigger picture,
Right. And I think in finding that balance, that I need to go and balance myself, you said, what will you do? Will you ground? Because I too spent a lot of time in meditation at the beginning of my journey, and it was like, hello. You still have to take your kids to school, make dinner, be a mom, right? Organize, pay bills, People say sometimes to kill off the ego or to lose the ego is the goal. How do you feel about that? The ego death. they speak of?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's good to be aware that we are not our ego. It's good to be aware that we are spiritual beings having a physical existence. But I think the ego comes with the physical existence, and there's a reason
Yeah.
for it. I think we need to just tame it. And it's all about balance,
Right.
like you say. And you know when you are using your ego, when you used your ego in a way you shouldn't have used it, and other
Right.
times it serves you well.
Hmm.
So it's about discernment and about just being true to yourself and honest with yourself. You only cheat yourself after all, at the
Right.
end of the day. Look, I've had many plant journeys where my ego was killed. Wow. And so I've had
Wow.
the experience of no ego,
Hmm.
and I've felt very much one with all.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. And just knowing that and having experienced that is like, I know that that's my nature.
You're also a businesswoman and an entrepreneur, and you need that ego to be able to organize and to do all the things that that part of the brain can do. This is going to
Yeah.
be the best decisions. I mean, you're not, I mean, I do know, I mean, already just from our conversation, you very much go inward also to find those
Yeah.
decisions.
Yeah. No, but you're right. Sometimes you just, and very much as a business owner, you have to make a decision. You have to make calls. Not everybody's going to be happy with things. And I think
Right.
that's when you have to explain, you explain your case. At the end of the day, you're going to make the last
Yeah.
call, and hopefully people are on board with what you decided. And if not, you'll see if it's worth your while, having another conversation with this person or not. So yeah, I've had my own business for 25 years. And
Mhm.
I'm very much like a decision maker. And sometimes I
Yeah.
just say, and I say to my team, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to pull the boss card on this one. And you need to do
Yeah.
that as a business owner. Otherwise,
Right.
you can't please everybody. I mean, that's a fact.
Or even just to be very strategic in things, you know?
Yeah.
The ego has a good way of being able to help you get to where it's at. Because I know sometimes my spiritual journey will lag on forever. And that's one thing I like, why couldn't I just receive all this in 1 minute? But that's my ego saying that. You know what I mean? Why
Yeah.
can't I control, this outcome? Being a mother of four, of course, there's many times where I can't just be all kumbaya. There has to be some sort of structure. And so I think that's that finding that balance, but who's driving, right?
Yeah.
As long as I know that that's my ego and I'm conscious to it.
Yeah. I don't know how sometimes if the ego makes every decision, because sometimes logic makes decision. I don't know. Sometimes the ego and the spirit are aligned, they're not always fighting each
Yeah,
other. I don't know if it's always the ego in the driving seat, even if you're doing things that others don't approve of, because you might still
right.
be being very true to yourself, and you might
Yeah,
still be doing what you truly think is right and what might be right, but it might not suit somebody else, and maybe it's something they have to work on. I don't know. One thing I'm doing these days, and this is a very new routine because I'm a night owl. So
me too.
I put the kids to bed, and that's my me time, and I love my
Me
meditation,
too.
but also I get very creative, and I end up working very late and go to bed late and all that stuff.
Yep.
So I read the 5 a.m. club book on Blinkist, which is very quick. And
I don't know this book.
it's a book about waking up in the morning very early, 5 a.m. obviously, and then
Oh,
doing an hour of stuff for yourself. And everybody keeps saying to me, "Oh, do your morning routine." And I'm like,
yeah.
guys, you don't understand. With children in the morning, it's like crazy. And I'm
I'm
a
tired.
night owl. I've been a night owl since I was born, even as a
Me
little
too.
kid, actually. But then I thought, okay, well, let me try, because the thing is I have to wake up early to take my kids to school and get them
Mhm.
dressed. So this wasn't working very well because I wasn't sleeping very much. And I
Yeah.
watched a TED talk about how important sleep is. So I'm going, oh my gosh, let me see if I could do this. And I just like really went for it. So the hard thing is obviously going to bed early, but I did it the first night. And the first day I did it, and I didn't do 5 a.m. I just did 5:45, and then I did a
Yeah.
routine from 6 to 6:30. Okay, so half an hour. But now it's been I'm on the second week, and I have to say, It's blowing my mind. It's unbelievable, like the difference. So I am managing to go to bed early, but check this out. I'm managing because I wake up at 5:45. I'm sitting on my mat at 6 a.m. I do yoga for 10 minutes, like kind of stretching really, which is so good in the morning because your body's, been
Right.
lying for so long. So 10 minutes of stretching, yoga stretches, great. 15 minutes meditation, amazing. I wish I could stay longer there because I love it. And then 5 minutes, and this is where the kind of the magic happens, where I put one thing that I need to do that day work-wise, that's going to give me the biggest result, that's going to be the best return on investment of my time. And it's usually this one thing that I've been meaning to do for days and days and days. I'm putting it off because, I need some time and thoughts and whatever. But if I just do that one thing, but I'm very clear because I've just stretched and meditated, and it just, during my meditation, it just comes like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. So now it's been about 8 or 10 days where every single day I have done just one thing, but it's been so important. And guess what? I got these 10 huge things done that I hadn't done before. And now what happens is in the evening, I don't feel guilty anymore because I've now been so efficient. So I I don't actually need to work another 2 hours sending emails because what I did was just so much better than that. And one of my days was like, okay, listen, get your emails, because now that's becoming a little bit like, you're not replying. So I love replying ASAP. So I'm like, okay, today that has become the most important thing. And I did that, and I just did all my emails. And, so I can't believe I'm saying this after like 46 years of like night owling.
Right.
Maybe I'm completely changed. I'm going to become a morning person.
Yeah. You know what?
Interesting.
I think that it's amazing that you may for a while and go back and, and different things in our life may shift. And that's exactly, I've always been a night owl. And I don't know, maybe even 7 years I did what you just said. I loved the intention part, which I did not do. But when I wouldn't get that moment in my morning, I felt so cheated. And like I really started to just really honor that time. I worshiped that time right before. And I have 4 kids. And at that time, I had 3 kids in high school and a newborn. And actually, 3 kids. No, I did not have 3 kids in high school. I'm lying. I had 3 kids in 3 different schools and a newborn at one time. And then,
Oh my God.
went through my high school years with my 2 kids and my child who wasn't in high school on the spectrum. I mean, it was a challenging time of my life. And I was doing what you were doing, waiting until they all went to bed, and I would steal my moments at night and be exhausted. So I started to do in the morning as well, and I loved it. And then my life shifted, or my journey in the morning was more about being mindful outside. I think especially being a mom, you just kind of have to roll with the different changes of being a mother.
100%.
But I
And
love
like
that
you say,
intention
sometimes you
thing.
do things for a while, and
Yeah,
also maybe just to get stale or things change. Who
right.
knows?
True. Yeah.
So,
I mean, so
so
much
that's
has changed with me. I mean, I used to really feel like I used to call on the archangels all the time. But now I feel like my higher self has been coming forward more than me leaning on the outside for the past like 2 years. I've just been so inward, in
yeah.
receiving and trusting and working on that self-trust.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think like we all go through these stages, and sometimes things stop working and we feel
Yeah.
called to do something else. At the end of the day, it's what's working for you at that point in time. So I think that honesty with yourself is important. Like with me, I was like, this is not working. I can't sleep
Yeah.
5 hours every night. And you just have to say, well, something's got to change. And
Yes.
now it's changed. Let's see how this works. And maybe it won't work anymore after a few years or months
Yeah.
or what have you. But you got to be honest with yourself, and you got to like take that time, I think, to think about these things.
Yeah.
A couple of months ago, I went with a friend of mine and we spent a weekend writing what we actually wanted out of life, because we don't
Mm,
think about that enough.
love
And she's
that.
never done it. And we're like, let's just go and spend like
Mhm.
this weekend, like talking about this, writing it. We had a very beautiful, chilled end. And we wrote it down, and I thought, like, well, I do this every now and again, but how important and how little it gets done by most people. And so taking the time to analyze your life, to see where
Yeah.
you could change, to see what you really want, to figure out, hey, could I be doing something different to get that is important. And we need
So,
that time.
yeah. Even sometimes I feel for myself, I could spend a lot of my spiritual journey instead of living. And so, we're here for the experience. And I think that's a beautiful reminder when you're able to sit and say, what do I want to get out of this life? I mean, do you really just want to spend it in meditation?
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
That's why a lot of my meditation in the morning shifted to experiencing nature, so that for me was how that shifted. But I think that, that's a very good reminder for everyone, and also to set your intentions in the morning. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
I can tell you should try it. I think this combo is very good. The stretching part, because your body like needs it. Because I
Yeah,
can tell you, like
right.
after almost 2 weeks, I feel so much more flexible. It's crazy. And then meditation, and then journaling. I mean, you could do everything.
Mm,
I quite like, figuring out what is it that I want to do that day.
yeah.
But it could be some other kind of journaling. I told my friend she's doing it now, and she said, "Oh my gosh," she said, "I've had this business idea that has
Mm,
been like for weeks,
yeah.
And she's like, I poured it all out onto the
Hmm.
paper. It was like amazing.
She made space.
So, yeah.
I love that. It's very important, especially if you're busy. Yeah, because a
Yeah.
lot of things are just going, like I said, a hamster wheel, or, sometimes it
Yeah.
could be hard to catch, exactly what you need to make space for that
Yeah.
amazing idea to come through. Wow, that's really cool. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start tomorrow. And I love how to, like, try something new and keep track of it and see how, if it's benefiting you, like do a little study for yourself.
Yeah. And the other thing I've noticed, look, I can fall asleep very easily and I can sleep forever. But I
Wow.
go to bed late, right? I used to go to
Mm-hmm.
bed very late,
Yeah.
so I never slept enough just because I was going to
Mm-hmm.
bed so late. There are so many studies done on how important sleep is. I mean, people don't
Mm-hmm.
even have to like believe
Yeah.
me. But I have to say, it's the first time I'm experiencing how true that is. I
Mm-hmm.
feel the last week and a half, I am really awake during the day.
Wow.
And I hadn't realized that I was kind of like a little bit asleep. 10% of me was just like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to
Yeah.
sleep. And you just get so used to it. And you kind of like pushing
Mm-hmm.
your body, not more than 3 cups of coffee, but like I needed my cup of
I
coffee in the
needed
morning
this.
too. And now I'm like, wow, I'm really awake during the day. This is amazing.
That is
So if I
awesome.
come back on your podcast in a year's
Yeah.
time, I'll be talking all about like possibly, this morning thing. But
Yeah.
I'm just finding it very interesting because actually before I don't notice it so much. This time I'm really noticing it.
You should do like a 10-day challenge or something. Did you say it was like 10 days that you noticed?
Well, I noticed straight away. It's
You
been
did.
about 10 days. So I noticed straight away how amazing it was. And I've had a couple of nights where I went to bed a bit late. That's the trick, is going to bed
Yeah, you have
early.
to retrain yourself. I love stretching and yoga as well, but one thing that I do is I tap my body out.
Okay.
I every morning I just tap, you do everything twice, all the way
Yeah.
from my feet and my inner legs, my outer legs, my hips, all the way up. And you don't have to do it that long, just however long it needs. Your body feels so awake after that. It's like
Mm,
ready to go. I love that
mm,
exercise. I do that a lot. And I do it a
yeah,
lot with my students and kids, just to bring that connection of body,
yeah.
because sometimes the body, like this morning, my body was like on fire, but sometimes I wake up and my body's just numb. I don't even know it's there. So I just
Yeah.
wake it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little trick that I do in meditation, which I love. If I have time, but you can do it quick as well. Is I start from my head to my toes. I think of my hair, right? So I don't really
Uh-huh.
have great hair. Imagine the roots of my hair like thick, and I imagine my hair like amazing. And then I go
Right.
to my skin and I imagine my whole skin just getting tighter and like blemishes going away
Mm.
and just getting younger. My whole bone that I usually tend to like shake
Mm.
and shiver when I go through the bones. Then I go the brain and everything, the eyes, the nose. And I love anatomy and I know what it looks like on the inside. And I
Mm.
imagine those things like shining bright. I imagine like the blood vessels with the blood flowing. If there's any sort of, coating, it's like it goes away. I imagine my stomach getting smaller. So I breathe in, and as I breathe out, I just envision it getting smaller. And I swear,
Yes.
one day I want somebody when I die to do an autopsy and see how big my
Yeah.
stomach is. Because I swear, I think I'm making it smaller.
Right.
And I go through my whole body and I
Mm-hmm.
feel amazing. And then
Yeah.
I imagine this white light like filling me up from the inside. And I just go like, like this. That's why I love my
Wow.
meditation in the morning, because it's just so good. And I feel great.
Yes.
So that's like a cool one to do, I think.
That's what my meditations look like. Not exactly, but very much.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
I'm like going into my eyes, hoping that I see better.
Yeah.
I do the full scan and then, bringing in the white light and just letting it just clear everything out and then going ahead and putting a bubble of protection around me for the day. But
Mm,
yeah, that spiritual hygiene I feel is so
totally.
important. I think we should just put out a challenge for those that are watching and
Yes.
listening, to try something new. Take, that moments in the morning and set an intention for the day and track it and see, if you're being more productive in your life.
I love that. And I think to make it a bit easier on people is don't be too hard on yourself. I think consistency is the key. So if you have
Yeah.
15 minutes, that's fine. And
Right.
if you have half an hour, great. If you have an hour, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't even have to be half an hour. It's just
Yes.
about being consistent
Mm-hmm.
and doing something that really feels good to you.
Yeah.
I love the stretch meditation journal thing, but if that doesn't work for you, something
Yeah.
else. But I love it. Like try something new, a new morning routine, and
Mhm.
10 days, see how it goes. 10 days in your
Right.
life, totally
Yeah.
doable.
And oftentimes there is that little bit of retraining that has to happen. But once what was a moment I had to steal literally became, something so important that I protected. Like my friends would want to call and I said, no, 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 you can't call that early because this is, that time. It became so precious to me
Good.
where I felt it was stolen if I didn't have it. So it's pretty important to make space for yourself no matter what. But yeah, try something new. Yeah. Tell everybody where they could find Orykl.
So Orykl is spelled
Oh,
Orykl.com, Orykl.com. And we're a platform for vetted spiritual therapists and healers. So everybody that is on Orykl is somebody that you can trust. It's somebody that I have put my name on, so to
mhm.
speak. And if you're looking for spiritual assistance of any kind, if you're looking to connect with your spirit guides, past loved ones, animals, anybody in spirit, and if you're looking to learn more about yourself and who you are, or obviously struggling with anything, and we all struggle from time to time, it's
Mhm.
really wonderful to connect with one of these practitioners who can make you see things from a different perspective, do healing on you, and work on the spiritual level. And it's very powerful, very, very powerful. I can really say that I've had so many wonderful, amazing, beautiful sessions, whether it's healing or channeling or something else. So I really recommend it and hope it helps.
I love that you said animals. And animal reading was like one of my favorite readings I've ever had. I mean, they blew me away. And so, how many do you have? Or are you always adding? Are you capping out? Or how does that work?
Yeah. So we're always adding. The vetting process is takes a while, and we've only just launched anyway. It'll be in the dozens, and
Mhm.
we have different modalities, as I said. So there's channeling, there's mediumship, it's connecting with the
Mhm.
deceased loved one. There's you can go into your Akashic records, quantum healing, pranic healing,
So
just
cool.
general energy healing, which could be lots of different things in there. and spiritual counseling, and maybe I'm missing one or two
That's
others.
so awesome.
Yeah.
So all bringing in everyone's unique way, they are here to assist others.
Yeah. So
I
it's
love
tricky
that.
because everybody's so unique. These
Mm-hmm.
spiritual healers really bring their own experience, modalities, and everything they've learned into their very unique way of
Mm-hmm.
doing the session. So in a way, it's hard to divide them into boxes, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
But we do as much as possible, share who they are. We love
Mm-hmm.
videos because you can, pick up somebody's energy much easier on a video. But that's what's so nice about Orykl. Anybody there can help you, and everybody there is qualified to help you, and they will help you. So it's about also trusting yourself. Whoever resonates with you, whoever feels like it's the right one, like that's the one you should go for.
Trust it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you'll have something for everybody. Well, I'm super excited to check that out for myself. Yeah.
You got to be on this receiving end to understand sometimes how impactful it can be for some people. It's always positive, and sometimes it's really life-changing. So
yeah, it's super fun. So amazing. All right. Well, so nice to meet you. And once again, Orykl.com, and it's Orykl.
that's it.
And
We have
yes,
social medias, but you can go straight from there. It's the best place to start is Orykl.com.
nice. Very, very nice. Well, thank you so
Thank
so
you.
much, Huenu, for coming on. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Shanna. Thank you for inviting me. It's been great.
Thanks for listening to Sense of Soul podcast, and thanks to our special guests for joining me. If you want more of Sense of Soul, check out my website at www.mysenseofsoul.com, where you can work with me one-on-one or help support Sense of Soul podcast by donating to my coffee fund. Thanks for listening.